Hey, Wixman Ray. Thank goodness it's Friday, TGIF. Hey, thought I'd give you another update on the weather here. We're looking at our satellite. If you watch my channel at all, this is our RGB. That means red, green, and blue. So, um, so what we're seeing out west, this is mostly some high clouds, some mid-level cloud out here, but really not much with it. There might be some sprinkles, but I doubt it. But yeah, mostly high cloud and thin at that. And this is with a weak disturbance kind of moving up out of California into the Great Basin. Otherwise, out west, there's some out in western parts of Washington and Oregon. There's some interior, some patchy fog, but mostly just kind of overcast, low cloud. We call it stratus as meteorologists. That's the official scientific name for it. Elsewhere, real quiet. This green you're seeing, this is the snow-covered mountains in the Rockies out here. Pretty clear across the southeast. There's a little patch there of green you see in what is that, northwest Mississippi. Still some snow there. Hasn't completely melted yet. And then there's also some snow still on the ground up here, the Boot Hill of Missouri. Otherwise, this is some lower cloud up here in the northern plain. This is all snow cover up here, Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota. And then this is that little clipper system we've talked about the last day or two that's moving through the mid-Atlantic up into the Northeast, bringing some light to a couple areas that had reported moderate snow. So, yeah. And, well, I mean, otherwise, pretty quiet. Um, going, I'll just quickly show you this. Where's it at here? The snowfall, since we're talking about that area. Yeah, that little clipper that went through, generally 1 to 3 inches. There was a couple spots that reported some isolated spots of 4, 4.5. But yeah, so that's the 24-hour snowfall map. This is current observations out west. We've got some. This is that high cloud. Really not much on radar. This is some weak returns, but that's not hitting the ground. There might be some sprinkles or light flurries up in the higher elevations of the Sierras, but with that weak disturbance, but not much going on there. So temperatures are real mild, 50s and 60s across the Intermountain West, Great Basin, 80 in Phoenix. Look at that, 65 in San Diego. So really nice out here in the West. Really nice temperatures. I mean, even into Texas, they're getting 70s and low 80s, 50s and 60s. As you go up into Kansas and Missouri, Oklahoma, and then a little bit colder as you head north here. But even out here in Montana, near 50, 57 there. So yeah, the cold air is back here, kind of starting in Minnesota and going through the Great Lakes region. And that's where there's some snow showers, some snow going through, kind of moving out of Michigan into Canada. It looks like a little bit of lake effect activity off these lakes up here, Lake Superior, Lake Michigan. And then, yeah, a little bit of light snow moving through New York, Pennsylvania, down through the mid-Atlantic. Yeah, a little bit of rain down in North Carolina. It's a little too warm for snow down there. So, yeah, not too terribly cold anywhere. There's 20s up here. And I thought there were some teens back here, but this thing ain't updating on me. Here we go. Yeah, some teens up here in this area, but nothing too terribly cold. Starting to warm up down here. You still got some 59 at Tampa, so still a little bit chilly for Florida standards, but it's actually warmer up in Tallahassee. So the warm air is coming. Yeah, so that's it for that. Go ahead and move on to our model here. So this is today here. Let's scroll this down so we can see this map. So this is that little clipper. So this is later on today. That's moving east, and kind of behind it, the cold air comes in. A little bit of wind, pretty breezy to windy back behind it. I seem to always do that. That's going to linger through Saturday across the northeast and then finally clear out. And the winds will gradually taper off as we go into Sunday into Monday. So just leaving like cold air. So this general area, I think last time I looked, the highs will be in the single digits, especially up in this area in the northeast. to teens for highs through the weekend. So that's the cold spot. The rest of the U.S. from basically, at least from South Carolina all the way up, just kind of draw outline. Very warm conditions for the most part, except for under this next system, and we'll talk about that. So let's go back in time here a little bit. So we got this. This is Saturday. Whoops! Come on, Ray, get your act together, dude. All right, so we get a little system pressing in the Pacific Northwest on Saturday with some rain, mountain snow, and that'll press inland as we move Sunday night into Monday. Um, so a mix of rain and snow. Snow levels will probably be 6 to 7,000 feet, I would estimate. Maybe a little lower up north, but yeah, that's my guess. The southern extent of the snow will probably be northern, or rain and snow will be northern California, northern Nevada. Just that system kind of presses eastward through the day on Monday, and then kind of creates a low pressure as you move into Tuesday out here. But we won't get too far ahead of ourselves. Another system coming off, and this one's a little bit stronger on Tuesday into California, into the Great Basin, Utah, California. So another looks like quite a bit of snow probably for the Sierras, at least a decent amount, and some rain there for California. So they'll need that rain. They haven't had much rain in the last few weeks. And then on Nevada and Utah, Intermountain West will get their another round of rain and snow. So definitely needed out west. We're way below for rain and snowpack in the mountains. So yeah. So this is through the day on Wednesday. So yeah. So this is Tuesday. So you we'll kind of head east here. So this rain breaks out on Tuesday up into the Tennessee Valley, into southern Missouri, down through Louisiana. Snow way up north there by the Great Lakes, but relatively warm. You see, I mean, the rain's all the way up into Ohio and Indiana, so this is a warm system. That's because we got that, and I'll show you later at the end the jet stream, how it's oriented and why it's so warm as we get into next week. Come on. My laptop is way too sensitive here. So this is Wednesday. That system, it's a fast moving system. We got that zonal east to west flow, and that'll press right offshore by Wednesday night into Thursday. So, and then beyond about Wednesday, Thursday, there's some model differences on exactly the timing of these systems and how strong they're going to be, but they're looking at another system coming into at least the northern, Pacific Northwest, northern Rockies area through next weekend. Looks like a nice low pressure will form out here in the central and southern plains. Mostly rain though. Maybe the northern fringes will get a little bit of snow or a mix, but yeah, and that's for me. That's for next weekend. But a lot of uncertainty there, so I wouldn't bet on that at this point. But just be aware there's probably going to be a storm, and you may get rain out there across the south and southeast into the plains and Ohio Valley, those areas. So as you head into the weekend, yeah. So let me show you. This is our last thing we'll look at. Whoops, wrong one here, Ray. Where are we at? Here we go. So this is our jet stream. This is at we call this 250 millibars. So that's about roughly 35,000 feet in the atmosphere above sea level. So that's typically about where the jet stream usually is, between 35,000 feet up there. So this is the Pacific out here. Here's United States, Canada up here, and this is the Western Atlantic, and this is parts of the Caribbean and the Gulf. I'll call it the Gulf. You can call it whatever you want. All right. We don't want to get political here. This isn't a political thing. So the nice jet streak, we call it jet streak. Looks like 150 knots coming out of the Pacific. So that you kind of see this is what's going on today. So we still have a little bit. We got a trough out over the Pacific here, the Eastern Pacific with the ridge kind of up over the western part of the United States. But that's kind of this is where the pattern changes are coming, is this whole thing coming off the Pacific. The ridge is up here, so that's why it's so warm and clear and nice through this part of the country. And you see this dip. This is the dip in the jet stream. So that's why from like the Carolinas northward into Minnesota, that's where all your cold air is bottled up. So yeah. So we'll kind of toggle through this. This is on Saturday. So you're starting to see a little bit of change. That ridge of high pressure is starting to shift more towards the center part of the United States. And this whole trough of low pressure centered up here with this the jet stream coming through here is starting to press into the western U.S. And you can see that trough of low pressure is kind of pushing out into the Atlantic with all the cold air kind of bottled up across the Northeast through the weekend. And you can kind of see that lasts through Sunday here. And you kind of see it starts to reorient. We're starting to see signs of that more west-east pattern. The ridge up here is starting to flatten a little bit, the high pressure ridge. And you see this trough out here um, in the Pacific and another one out in the Atlantic. We haven't talked about this, but this is the system that's kind of off the coast of Baja in Southern California that's kind of creeping across northern Mexico and the desert Southwest. So we head into the day on Monday here. And you kind of see there, we're starting to get that more west-east flow across the United States. Still got dips in the jet stream, but they're mainly over the ocean here. But this whole area of low pressure here is what's going to bring all that rain and these different pieces of energy through the western U.S. and eventually through the rest of the country. So we'll go into, this is Wednesday, so you can see that west-east flow, deep trough out here off the coast of California, Pacific Northwest area. So yeah, and also all the cold air is kind of bottled up here in Canada for the most part, and that we got all this warm air across most of the U.S., especially maybe not the northern fringes will be cool, but nothing, no polar vortexes or Arctic air mass is what I like to call it. And as we go through the rest of next week, pattern starts to shift a little bit. Still see that west-east kind of flow, but this deep trough that was over the Pacific is starting to weaken and move inland over the southwest, and then you see another deepens again. So it's going to keep it stormy, fast-moving system through the week and into next weekend. So just thought I'd show you that. This is the driver of the weather systems, the jet stream. So. And whenever you see these, we call them jet maxes, typically that's where you'll see storms out ahead of them or near them. Usually they're on the eastern fringes of these jet streaks, as we call them. Anyway, so hey, that's it for today. Wixman Ray, I would like to say I appreciate y'all for watching and subscribing and checking out my channel. Have a great weekend. Wixman Ray out.